Hello everyone and welcome to the Tank Club's Tank Basics. This episode is going to be about Mundus Stones, and I'm going to talk about what is the best Mundus Stones to use as a tank and why, and hopefully give you a little bit of an insight on what you should be looking to pick up. If you've got any suggestions for future Tank Basic episodes, what things do you guys want to know, let me know in the comments below, and we'll try and make some more content on the topics that you guys are really interested in knowing about. Okay, so on to ESO Tank Mundus Stones, and the number one Mundus Stone that you're going to see in most builds 99% of the time is going to be the Atronach Mundus Stone. Now what this does is this increases Magicka recovery by 310, and the reason why this is the best Mundus Stone is because as a tank the majority of your skills cost Magicka. So this is by far the best ESO tank Mundus Stone. It's the most popular one. Virtually all situations in the game you're going to benefit much more from using the Atronach than any other Mundus Stone as a tank in the Elder Scrolls Online, and this is because you typically always prioritise Magicka based skills, and most of your self-healing and your crowd control are all Magicka costing. So if we just look at this quick trial build that I'm using right here, and we'll have a look at the skills. So as you can see, like my first skill is a stamina skill, 1000 stamina. But then we've got Unrelenting Grip, which costs 3500 Magicka per cast. Igneous Shield, 3700 Magicka per cast. My self-heal, 4k Magicka. One of my group buffs, 3.2k Magicka. Switch onto my back bar, we've got Cinderstorm, 352 Magicka a second. Got Blockade of Frost, which is 3700 Magicka. Igneous Weapons, 4k. Frost Clench, another 1000. So as you can see, most of my skills, virtually all of my skills, are Magicka based. One of the important things to note here as well is I'm not using the Trifocus passive. So my only Magicka drain comes from my Magicka skills. So I'm prioritising using Magicka skills over stamina skills because I'm blocking with stamina, I'm roll dodging with stamina, I'm breaking free with stamina. So my intention is purely to use Magicka for Magicka skills, and when I block on my Ice Staff, I'm also not losing Magicka because of the Trifocus passive. So yeah, when you're a tank, while blocking, you're still able to generate Magicka, as you've seen in one of my previous episodes on this Tank Basics series. On some tank classes, you may also have Magicka-based tank skills that return stamina while blocking, which makes Magicka even more important. So Igneous Shield, for example, when we cast Igneous Shield, we're going to get 990 stamina back, and this costs Magicka to cast it. So it's more important to have Magicka incoming faster, so that we can cast Igneous Shield more often to get stamina back while we're blocking, so that we don't run out of stamina to continue to block. So for tanking, the most essential thing you need to survive is sustain. So essentially, to begin with, if you don't have like the Mages Guild, you don't have the skill balance, Magicka recovery is literally your only source of Magicka sustain really. So it's even more vital for newer players. Once you get the balance skill, it's not as vital then, because you can just cast this to gain Magicka back. You gain Magicka every time you cast balance, so then it becomes slightly less valuable, but it's still very, very useful. If you have Magicka, then you can heal, you can shield, you can cast skills, you can protect yourself. Since you're unable to regenerate stamina while blocking, especially on a one-handed shield or when you don't have the Trifocus passive, and health recovery isn't that beneficial, this leaves Magicka regeneration as the only useful, like, sustain-based Mundus Stone that is available. Now there are other Mundus Stones that you can use for different situations. So the other one that I like to use is the Steed Mundus Stone, and this is good for things like Cloud Rest and Asylum Sanctorium when you combine it with Divine's Gear, and you get the increased movement speed and the health recovery. And in situations where you don't have to block very much, in like those particular situations, for example like in Asylum Sanctorium, when you're the off tank, one of the most important things is movement speed, and when you combine it with the Steed Mundus you get increased movement speed, Divine's Gear, and the health recovery is nice as well because it's ticking as you're running. In Cloud Rest, if you're doing a health recovery stacking build where you can get somewhere between 5 and 8,000 health recovery by using divines and different food and different things, you want the Steed Mundus Stone with Divine's Gear. That's going to give you huge health recovery benefits. So with those situations, it's very, very good. Another Mundus Stone, the last one that's worth using for a tank, is the Lady. Now this is not essential. It's not essential to maximise your resistances to be good at tanking. in the Elder Scrolls Online. So you're going to get more resistances by using the Lady Mundus Stone. So having 25k plus resistances will allow you to complete pretty much all content in the game comfortably. And you don't forget that resistances are capped at 33k as well. So don't go over that value when you're buffed. You've got to consider major and minor resolve. When you're doing burn strategies, high risk strategies, you're dealing with huge amounts of damage. When you're dealing with like damage while you're not blocking for a long period of time, or when there's lots of dots and bleeds, then obviously resistances are extremely useful, and that's when you want to kind of maximize them. But don't forget, you are going to lose a lot of sustain by using something like the Lady. So it's an option, but it's not vital, and I wouldn't go with this in most cases. As you've seen in my previous video, again, we've got the Tank Basics video about resistances. Make sure you check that out before making the decision to go to the Lady Mundus Stone. But generally, the Atronach is the one you want to be going for. So aside from these, note that the Mundus Stone is really useful for tanking. Max stats Mundus Stones are just completely irrelevant since the Flames of Ambition patch, where we got a stat boost. So our minimum stats got introduced to the game, and we can achieve extremely high max stats without like using stat-based Mundus Stones. So don't use things that are going to increase your health, your magicka, or your stamina. If you want to increase those things, you need to look at your enchants, you need to look at your champion points, you need to look at like your attribute distribution, your food. Those are the things you want to look at when looking at those things as well, and the gear that you're using. So different gear will have different stat benefits. Then you might need to adjust your attributes and things, but you really don't want to waste your time using things like max health Mundus Stones. It just doesn't give enough value compared to things like the Atronach, and then secondary from that, the Steed and the Lady. So that is it for this Tank Basics video. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye bye for now.